Forget everything you know about budget travel. Today we are doing the complete opposite of that. We are in Abu Dhabi, the capital of wealth in the entire UAE, and we have 24 hours along with a $65,000 budget to spend on private islands, priceless art, presidential palaces, and a hypercar that most people will only ever see in photographs. This is what it looks like when money simply is not a consideration. This is how billionaires actually spend a day here. Morning. The palatial check-in and a cup of gold. We start the day pulling up to the Emirates Palace Mandarin Oriental in a Bugatti Chiron, an engine so powerful it sounds less like a car and more like a small aircraft idling on the tarmac. A team of staff in pristine white uniforms greet us at the entrance, and walking into the lobby feels less like checking into a hotel and more like stepping into a building made entirely of gold leaf and ambition. We are staying in the 3-bedroom royal suite. It spans over 600 square meters, comes with a dedicated 24-hour butler team, its own private dining room, and balcony views that stretch out across the entire Arabian Gulf. One night in this suite costs $25,000. That is not a typo. $25,000 for one night in one room. Before heading out for the day, we start the morning with the palace's signature gold cappuccino, a flawless espresso dusted with an absurd layer of shiny, edible 24-karat gold flakes. It is completely decadent, entirely unnecessary, and somehow it does taste exactly like you would imagine pure success tasting. That cup of coffee runs about $100. We are not even out the front door yet, and we have already spent $25,100. Midday. A private Louvre tour and a day at the racetrack. From there, we head to the Louvre, Abu Dhabi, and instead of walking through it with hundreds of other visitors, we have arranged a fully private, closed-door VIP tour. No crowds, no flashing cameras, no jostling for a better angle. Just a private art historian guiding us underneath that massive, floating geometric dome, past priceless masterpieces from artists like Da Vinci and Monet, with sunlight filtering down through the roof in patterns that genuinely look like rain. Having that entire museum experience essentially to ourselves costs around $2,000, and it completely changes how it feels to stand in front of a painting that old and that significant. There is no rush. No one behind you waiting for their turn. After the museum, we go chasing something with a little more speed. You genuinely cannot come to Abu Dhabi without spending time at Yas Marina Circuit, the official Formula One track that hosts one of the biggest races on the entire racing calendar. We book out a private track session, slide into a race-spec Aston Martin GT4, pull down a carbon fiber helmet visor, and push that car to its absolute limit on a track built for the fastest drivers in the world. That experience runs about $4,500, and it is worth every cent the moment you hit the front straight at full throttle. Running total after the museum and the track session, just over $31,600. Afternoon. Helicopter to a private island. For lunch, we are leaving the mainland entirely. A private helicopter charter takes off from Yas Island and flies us out over turquoise water toward Nurai Island, an exclusive boutique island resort that most people will never even hear the name of, let alone visit. From the air, the water below shifts through every shade of blue and turquoise imaginable, and the island itself appears almost suddenly, a tiny strip of white sand and palm trees surrounded by nothing but open ocean. Once we land, we are seated at an overwater cabana for a meal that genuinely feels designed for royalty. Blue lobster, a full caviar service, and fresh truffles, all prepared tableside by a personal Michelin-starred chef who has flown out specifically to cook for whoever books this experience that day. The seafood was caught that same morning, specifically for this table. There is total privacy here, total anonymity, just the sound of the ocean breeze and the quiet clink of cutlery. The helicopter charter alone costs about $5,000, and the private beach access along with that bespoke lunch adds another $3,500. Running total climbs to just over $40,100, and we have not even reached dinner yet. Evening. The presidential palace and 3-star dining. As night begins to fall, we head to Qasr al-Watan, the palace of the nation. We have arranged a private VIP diplomatic entry, which allows us to walk through doors crafted from solid maple and 23-karat gold into a building whose scale is genuinely difficult to put into words. The Great Hall and the presidential banquet rooms inside are designed specifically to showcase Arabian culture, knowledge, and governance at the absolute highest level of grandeur, and walking through it with almost nobody else around makes the whole experience feel less like sightseeing and more like being granted access to something most people will never get close to. That private diplomatic tour costs about $1,500. To finish the night, we stay right there on the palace grounds for dinner at Talea by Antonio Guida, a restaurant known for precision, intimacy, and dishes plated with what can only be described as surgical accuracy. We are seated for a fully customized, off-menu tasting experience, a multi-course pairing built entirely around white truffle and Wagyu steak, curated personally by the chef specifically for our table that night. Every course arrives looking less like food and more like a small piece of art, and every single bite is deliberate. That bespoke chef's table experience, along with the rare wine pairings that accompany it, comes to about $2,600. Running total now sits at just over $44,100. Night. The hypercar and the view from the balcony. And one more thing before we wrap up. That Bugatti Chiron we have been piloting around the city all day did not come free. The elite hypercar concierge delivery and daily rental for a machine like that runs about $22,000 on its own. We take it for one final cruise down the Abu Dhabi Corniche as the skyscrapers light up against the dark sky, the engine echoing off the glass towers on either side, before pulling back into the Emirates Palace one last time. We end the night standing out on the massive balcony of the royal suite, looking out over the dark, quiet ocean, holding a perfectly mixed mocktail, and letting the entire day settle in. Art, hypercars, private islands, racetracks, and a palace suite fit for actual royalty. All in a single 24-hour stretch. The final tally. So let's add it all up. We slept in a $25,000 suite with a dedicated butler team. We drove a Bugatti Chiron through the city and rented a race-spec Aston Martin at an official Formula One circuit. We had a private museum tour beneath one of the most striking buildings on Earth. We flew by helicopter to a private island for caviar and fresh lobster. We toured a presidential palace with diplomatic-level access. And we finished the night with a fully bespoke chef's table dinner at one of the most exclusive restaurants in the country. 24 hours. $66,100 spent. In a city built almost entirely around the idea that there is no ceiling to what luxury can look like, that number somehow still makes sense. Every single experience today was designed for total privacy, total exclusivity, and total comfort, with absolutely no compromise anywhere along the way. This is not a version of travel most people will ever experience firsthand. But for 24 hours, it is exactly what unlimited money in Abu Dhabi actually buys you. So here's the real question. If you had the money, would you spend it exactly like this? Let me know in the comments and hit that subscribe button so you do not miss the next stop.